to do our due diligence in terms of getting ready for the draft class, the free agent class, and evaluating our own players. And so that's where our mindset, I think those things will take care of ourselves as our plan and, kind of our vision for making our team better this year develops further. But, right now the most important part is that we work really hard in trying to assess the talents and the opportunities to improve our team. I don't know about that. I think coaches and our coaches are extremely talented at it. We saw a skill in Debo not only being a traditional receiver, but also just a guy who you want the ball in his hands. And I think perhaps some of the trickle up that has come from the colleges and such has opened a lot of people's minds up to being creative. And Kyle and his group just do a tremendous job. I thought they did a tremendous job with Debo. You got to give Debo a ton of credit. It's a tough transition, and he made it as well as what's up, John? A lot of the guys that I've seen, and we love everything about Debo. You know, the other side, he's got a spirit about him that I think is kind of infectious. He lifts a team with his, youthful exuberance, enthusiasm, and he's a really good football player. So when you put those two things together, you've got a opportunity to be special. Yeah. Well, it's fun this time of year having the lower, and being able to look at the Bosas of the world and those guys, but it's a lot more fun playing deep into the year. So you take the later pick, and we don't have as much equity as we've had in years past, and so we got to figure out a way. We got to be creative. We got to be exhaustive in all the avenues we look at to improve our football team, and we're committed to doing that. Extremely proud of Jimmy. I can't speak enough about what a great teammate he is. From day one when he entered our building, he made everyone else around him better, and I think he's continued to do that. And had his first full season as a starter in the NFL and ended up in the Super Bowl. And I know Jimmy feels the same way we all do. We left a little out there, and that's a shame. That's something we're going to have to deal with, really for the rest of our lives. But nobody knows that more than him. I'm incredibly proud, as is our entire organization, for the way he's handled himself and the way he's played, and for the way he's kind of led our team. Jimmy, I think we all have to take a hard look at the fourth quarter. I mean, we built this team to be finishers, and we fell short of that. We've all got to live with that. And the nature of that position. It's probably going to get examined a little bit more, but I think we all have to own that, and I think the guys have done a great job of doing just that, not running from it. And the other side, you got to give the Chiefs a ton of credit. They went out and earned that game, and we fell short, and we got to live with that. We're extremely proud of Jimmy and committed to Jimmy moving forward. He's our guy. As I said, from the day he walked into our building, he made us better, and we continue to feel that's the case. And that's the most exciting thing about him is the room for growth. He's not come close to hitting a ceiling, and I think the room for growth, the more experience he gets in this system, the more experience he gets playing in general, we think the arrow's up, and that's a good thing. Yeah, well, what a tremendous story. I mean, of a guy who's been released numerous times from numerous teams and kept the dream alive, kept himself in the league by being one of the better special teams players in football. But I give a lot of credit to our coaching staff for seeing more, and Kyle specifically for seeing more in Raheem. I think some of the things in the past that had kept him from the success that we saw this year, injuries and then ball security, and to his credit, and I think with the belief of our coaches with him and sticking with him, when he did put the ball on the ground or when he did get injured, we got to see the fruition of that belief this year, and Raheem exploded on the scene, and he earned that, and very proud of him, very happy for him. He made our team better.
John, to follow up on that, are you expecting much turnover in the running back room?
Yeah, we like our group a lot. It's obviously the one characteristic when you see in that group, you see a lot of speed, and you see a lot of guys with the right makeup. And, I would see, you can't ever speak because there are guys who, are at certain points where we have to make decisions. But we like that group a lot, and we'd like to keep as much continuity there as possible.
John, you talked about being in a little bit of a different field, picking so late in the draft.
Right.
Does it change how you approach for either just staying in your pick or maybe even getting aggressive with different guys who could be more bust players that you're trying to get high impact out of?
Yeah.
Picking later in the draft, how does that change?
Well, the ultimate goal, and I do think it gets a little more tricky, is how do you improve your team? And, we like where our team was this year. We got the right kind of guys. We're a very talented football team. But, if Coach Gruden, Kyle, they all subscribe to it. I've heard it so many times. You never stay the same. You're getting better, you're getting worse. And we're into getting better. And so it becomes trickier, with less draft equity and things of that nature. But we've got a lot of good players under, that are part of us moving forward as well. And so being creative in the draft and free agency, via trade, whatever, how do we find a way to get ourselves better? And that's what we're working each and every day to try to do. Well, we like our group. I think we like the core of our group. The draft class is incredibly strong. That's my fourth combine, and it's as good as I've ever seen. I mean, the depth of it, the top end players, it's a really good class, and you kind of get whatever flavor you like. If you like a smaller, quicker guy, those guys are there. If you like the big guys that can move, those guys are there. If you like speed, that's there. If you like separators, and so I think the whole league's kind of smiling about that. We do, in fact, really like our group, and we feel like in a one way of looking is we've got some players coming back to us. Jalen Hurd, was a third-round pick. We never got to see him, and so he's got to show that he can do it. But we think he's got some talents. Dante Pettis is still a guy we have a lot of belief in, and it's incumbent upon him to have a tremendous off-season so that he sets himself up for success. And Trent Taylor was having a tremendous camp. So we see some guys who can add to what we've already had, and then who knows whether we add to it via the draft or any other avenue. Anybody else?
John, last one. Obviously, where are you guys more excited about on the offensive side of the ball?
Yeah. Where? Yeah.
What are you guys feeling more excited about?
Well, I mean, I just spoke about, what I think is a really uniquely good class in the wide receiver group, but I think it's a strong draft in general. And, I think all the positions really, when you're here and you're doing your work, you look at everything. One class is particularly strong, and I think everyone shares that opinion. But we get excited about all these players.
3 years ago, you mentioned that you were interested in playing in Mexico. Do you feel still the same about it?
Would love to go there. Yeah. We'll see where that goes. I'm not responsible for those things, but, I'm always staying fresh on my Spanish, so I'll be ready when we go. All right. Thank you.
What's up, guys? Sorry. Like I'm in a locker room. All right. I haven't seen it yet, but from what I've been told, it's a very good one. So I'm excited to see him here. Here it's more about getting to know the guys. We interviewed a number last night, a good group of guys, and I think we got a couple more today. And then when we get back to the office next week, we'll start grinding out, watching them. What's that? I think the the way college football is a little bit. There's not as much man-to-man coverage. There's a lot of zone. It's a lot more spaced out with the hashes. So you don't get to see a lot of one-on-ones and how they beat man coverage. A lot of it's just spread out zone. So you can see guys run with the ball in their movements, but you don't always get to see a developed receiver. And it takes time to develop a guy, so you never know how long that's going to take. Depends on the guy, depends on the skill set, but it always helps when they go to the Senior Bowl, things like that, where you can see one-on-ones and things, but it's always a guess. There, I knew it was somewhere. Because of how good of a football player he is. And when I say that, I don't mean the receiver position. He is a very good receiver and will only get better. But Debo is as fearless of a rookie as I've ever been around. Extremely tough. Once the ball in his hands, will fight for everything, can play injured. The game was never too big for him. The moment was never too big for him. And that's why he helped us huge this year. He can get a lot better developing his routes and things like that. And while he continues to do that, it's nice that you don't have to wait on all that. You can still use him because how tough he is in every other aspect. Who's that? My main thing is how long I'd been around those two guys in particular, Mike McDaniel and Mike LaFleur. We've been together for at a number of different places. They're very important for me to bring here and help implement the offense. And then just how good they are at it. When you're a head coach, you can't do the exact same schedule as you do as a coordinator. So you want to, but you can't. So you got to have guys that you've worked with, guys that can help you, guys that you're confident in who can do it, so you can catch up later in the week. And it's a lot easier said than done. You can't just pick anyone to do that. And I had the two perfect guys that I've been with for a long time. I have a ton of confidence in them, and they get better and better each year. And they were great this year, and it really helped me out. Well, that's the main thing. To go with that, everyone's process as a coordinator is different. I know my process and what I went through Monday all the way up till kickoff, I couldn't do as a head coach. My Mondays were a little different. My Tuesdays were. That's extremely stressful if you can't put that on some other people, and you still got to find time to do it, which has always been at the end of the week for me now, where it used to be at the beginning of the week. Offensive what? Yeah, we're looking at every option this week. There's not a position we don't look at. Rich was with us. Yeah, Rich was with us in Atlanta. That's where I got to meet him. He had worked with some other coaches, and he came in, and he was the offensive coordinator in college, and he came in to learn our run game, and came in at an entry level for us, just to have the opportunity. He left a coordinator job in college, came in just to draw the runs and everything, learn the run game. I was also able to be around him for a whole year, so I had a lot of confidence in him, talking to the quarterbacks and things like that. And he went away for a year, my last year in Atlanta, and then when I got the job in San Fran, he was the first guy I called to be quarterback coach. You got to watch it. Watch it you don't want to watch it right away because it just doesn't put you in the best mood. Kind of want to get away for a little bit, but definitely have to watch it before I answer questions to you guys, so it's fresh in my head. So I did that a number of times, right after. Did a little bit a week ago, and I'll do it gradually as the year goes. I always mix it in, but something you can always get something out of it, but it's not always fun to revisit. Last couple of weeks, I haven't talked to many people at all. I've kind of been a little bit off the grid. So saw a couple players. I was out in Cabo, saw a couple players out there randomly. So I got to play golf with a few of those guys, which was fun. I think we broke a record. We played like 9 holes in 5 hours. So, besides that, I think we've all been getting away. I just came back here on Monday, so just getting back into it, and I'll start catching up with people here over the next week or so. Mike was huge for us his rookie year. We threw him in right away. He battled throughout the whole year, was able to play and played through a number of injuries. Came in with some high expectations this year, had a tough injury early on that did set him back, missed some games. Came back, had to play through, getting healthy again, and finished the year unbelievable. Mike just got better and better after that injury. He's as detailed and focused of a player as I've been around. No matter what you give to him, he's going to figure out how to get it right. I mean, it's different, definitely. You got to know. I mean, you can eliminate a lot of people when you're at number 2. You know, you don't have to put as much time into everyone. You still do it, but when you're at 31, you got to be ready for anything. Also know long enough that you don't just sit there and look at your draft and say, all right, we got to know 1 through 31, but then we can just chill till the 4th round or 5th round, whatever we are, take a day off because things change. I mean, there's always trades, there's always different draft picks, so you got to still go through the same process, but there's not as much pressure on getting to know all the top guys in the draft. I mean, there's only 5 eligibles, and so you're trying to find the best mismatch out of those 5. And usually it can be running backs versus linebackers, or tight ends versus linebackers, or safeties. And that's why you mix in personnel groups with fullbacks and 11 personnel with 3 receivers. And that's why the defense has to go dime sometimes and nickel just to cover people, and then it gives you a disadvantage to stop the run. So when you can have some bigger guys in there who can cover running backs, cover linebackers, make tackles, can still get away with covering receivers in the slot, it makes it a lot harder to know what coverages you're getting. There's not as many left-handers in the world, I guess, so it's a smaller percentage, I'm guessing. I mean, I've never looked at it as that guy's left-handed, so I mean, thrower's a good thrower. I had a left-handed quarterback in college, and then you go to the right-handed quarterback, and it'd be a little bit different going back and forth. But I would say it's just a coincidence, probably a less pool to choose from. Sorry, what's that? Yes. We'd be done. If I demonstrated as a lefty, I would lose all credibility. It would look so awkward. So. What's that? To improve it, we got to catch Baltimore. So we're gonna get Jimmy his 40 up. No, I mean, you get better or worse, and we had a pretty good year last year running the ball. So we got to make sure we do everything we can to keep the guys we have and make sure we add a couple more.
What do you think was the key for your team to respond and fight for you last season?
I mean, I think we were a good team. I think we got good people. We played hard. We battled through adversity. We battled through some injuries, and got us almost there. I would love to keep it going forward. I mean, I think the group that we had last year showed where we could get with them, and but it's always hard to do that. I hope that we can. It's not as simple as just tying all the running backs together. It's how you compare them to the other positions and everything. But it's 2 years in a row that we've gone in with 4 backs, and we've needed all 4. So it's something that I used to look at as a luxury, and now I'm almost feeling like it's a necessity. I mean, just deal with it. I mean, it's anytime you have a tough loss, I think there's a grieving process you got to go through. I think everyone goes through that individually. I mean, it is disappointing, and especially how much you put on the line for that. But that's life. You can deal with it. No one died. It is disappointing. We do have to grieve it. But doing a lot better now than I was 3 weeks ago, and I plan on doing better 3 weeks from now than I am right now. And I think our team is made of the right stuff. I think it's very important to our team, not just individually, to not just have a career in this league, but we got guys who want to win, and it's very important to, and those are the guys that we're going to continue to bring in our building. Yeah, I have an opinion on what I think is better and stuff, but I also am the one who doesn't have to do it with defensive guys trying to hit me. So I always try to coach a guy with the left foot up. I think it times out better. you lose a step, you lose time because you don't have the ball in your hand right away. So I think you need to lose a step in your drop. So when you're in gun, you have the left foot up, it's more of 2 steps you take, and when you're under center, it's 3. So I think that's an even timing. Some guys have been doing it with their right foot up or parallel their whole life, and they just struggle with it. And you try to coach in the off season. If they can't get it, you make sure you do what they're comfortable with. And sometimes for handoffs and stuff, you can't have your feet staggered. You got to put them parallel if you're doing the zone read and things like that. I think he did. I can't quite remember. Brady I've watched forever, and he changes all the time. I like it when he goes his left foot up, but yeah, it depends on the throw, depends on the quarter, the year. But no, I think Jimmy was more left foot up. Yeah. I mean, mainly the first year it wasn't his choice because he was under contract. But it would have happened eventually. I mean, Mike and I are close, and Matt and I are very close. So it wasn't like it was something we all talked about for a while. I know the emotion of going to work with a family member is very high at first. I think the more we all talked about it, we thought it was a better situation for him to stay. And I know Mike went into this year just so we could make sure it was the right decision without a contract. And I obviously would have given him one, and he would have taken one, but we just wanted to make sure to do it the right way and make sure that everybody wanted what we had. And when we gave him a new one in January, he didn't want to go somewhere else. He wanted to be here. I mean, last year we were 4-12, and I felt like every one of our offensive coordinators our offensive coaches tried to get rated. So that threw me off last year because I didn't expect it. I was a little more prepared for it this year. I had an idea it was coming. Those guys deserved it. I mean, Joe Woods has been a coordinator in this league. He deserves to be a coordinator. Chris Kiffin has been a coordinator in college, and he just has to get his name out there more because he's going to be a coordinator in this league also. And 2 guys I didn't want to lose at all. But 2 guys I felt fortunate enough just to have because I knew it was a matter of time before they got promoted somewhere. For me, it's usually just the start. I mean, I just kind of soak it all in. From a coach's perspective, it's way too long. It's dragged out a lot, but I don't know how to organize it any better. And for me, all the football stuff and everything, that's all second. I mean, we'll see that when we get back to our offices and we can actually study it. I just like being able to come down here, meet a couple players and things like that. So, you only get a certain amount of people to come visit you. You only can go visit a certain amount of people. And it's really hard to draft a guy that you've never even looked at or talked to. So, and also, I don't want to put too much into it, too, because I've had guys I've met that have been awesome, and they've completely tricked me. So you just try to soak it all in and not go too strong on anything. Not really. My routine, I mean, it does it was the best when I was a position coach and I didn't have to go to anything, so I could just sit at the train station and actually talk to players one-on-one and not in such a big room, and they usually didn't know who I was, so they probably were more comfortable. Now, since I become a coordinator and as a head coach, you sit in bigger rooms where they're all more formal interviews, so it's not I can't connect with the guy as much, so I kind of used to like it more when I was position coach.
I know that you and Shanahan love Cabo Mexico. Right now, there's like a new professional football team that just made its debut. Do you have a message for these guys, the first professional football team in Cabo, because some of them are like 49ers fans?
Oh, I just got back from there. There's a lot of Niners fans down there and real diehard. So I mean, I full support Cabo. Hopefully we can talk to our owner and hopefully we can set up a scrimmage there or something in the off season. If he takes us all down there, that'd be awesome. Yeah, I think Jimmy deserves a ton of credit for what he did this year. I think people talk a little bit about how he was coming off an ACL, but I also think that people don't realize that was his first year playing quarterback in this league. I think he got 3 games with New England and he got 5 games with us. This is his first time going through a full season. He had less games than Baker Mayfield going into his second year, and to do that with the pressure of also, to me, everyone thinking you've already arrived and coming off an ACL, I thought there was around. And he just took it, handled it all year, and got better throughout the year, and was very impressed with him. Just being around the guy. I mean, you can see, but when you can't, to be around a person for a week, they can usually trick you in a day, but to be around a person for a week where you're having to go to meetings, having to coach them every day, you get a good idea on who really genuinely loves football, and that was the thing that was most obvious about him there.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys.